All right, guys. Today we're here with Dave Horn. He is the creator, executive producer of CHIKARA Action Arcade Wrestling. You might remember him from the other Action Arcade Wrestling games which we played. We played Action Arcade Wrestling 1, Action Arcade Wrestling 2, but now he's partnered up with CHIKARA, and they're coming out with CHIKARA Action Arcade Wrestling. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Tony? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. I feel like it's like a yearly or like every other yearly thing. We just meet up and we talk about the new Action Arcade Wrestling title.
Yeah, exactly, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
always seems to be different.
It's good though, but now you're actually partnering with Chikara, so that's got to be exciting for you.
I know it's crazy, right? I mean, I totally didn't plan on this. It was probably a year ago or so that I was just planning on making the third Action Arcade Wrestling, and Chikara contacted me. Had a couple phone calls with Mike Quack, president there, and it ended up being just an absolute perfect fit for both of us. So I'm super excited.
What's pretty interesting is I actually worked with the Chikara guys to try and help them with their beat 'em up style game that they were doing. And
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did a live stream back in the day with them. So now like it kind of like coming full circle where I worked with you before and I worked with Chikara before and now we're working like kind of you guys are partnering and then it's just kind of like a good fit because I think when they tried to do that beat 'em up game, everybody really wanted a Chikara wrestling game, and now you're actually
Right.
going to be able to give them the wrestling game and not the beat 'em up.
Well, a double dragon than it is a WrestleFest. I'll tell you that. So I can definitely see why they wanted to at least try the beat 'em up. I'm not familiar with the developers who were doing that, but making a wrestling game is certainly no easy feat. That's why I have so much respect for the THQ guys or THQ. Geez, I'm dating myself. The 2K guys. For doing what they're doing, and really anyone who's trying to release a wrestling game, it is really tough to do. But we're really excited to be working with them, and like you said, actually making a wrestling game for them.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about like the first action arcade wrestling game. Like how did that come about and like how did you decide like okay, I want to start making a wrestling game here?
Yeah, so that was I think I started in 2009, something like that. Released it in 2010. So it was a little while ago, and that was way before I had kids or anything else, and I actually had some spare time. And I kind of just wanted to make a wrestling game. My goal was to make sort of a WrestleFest too. I love the simulation games that were out, and I think they're just really turning into something really polished and nice. And I kind of wanted to just take another crack at the genre of pro wrestling, and had so much fun with WrestleFest and Saturday Night Slam Masters, and even some of the ones in Super Nintendo and Genesis days. But I kind of wanted to make sort of a nod to those guys. So really, it was just me. I took a laptop out on my porch, started developing it, and it turned into a pretty successful Xbox game. And that was cool because I mean the Xbox indie games platform was sort of flawed, but for all its flaws, it really, pioneered that you could actually one person could sit down, make a game, and upload it. And you could actually play it on an Xbox, which is really cool.
Right, I think you were around like the time when like Super Meat Boy and stuff, right? Wasn't yours around that time
Yep,
when indie games were just like
absolutely.
picking up steam and now it seems like I think like anybody can create a video game and get it on PlayStation or Xbox. Like it seems like there's no problems these days now.
Yeah, especially even with Steam. You have the Steam platform,
Mhm.
which is awesome. I actually took a break from wrestling games and just tried a little mobile game too for iOS and Android. Called Tappy Golf, which is about as opposite of a wrestling game as you could get. A
Yeah.
little arcade golf game, but just for the experience of different engines and things like
Mhm.
that. But it's really cool that you couldn't do this however many years ago, like when I was a kid. I mean, it's not like I could think up a game and all of a sudden there's a Nintendo cartridge on the shelf of Toys R Us. You couldn't do it. But now the ecosystem of all the developers, you can actually start doing this stuff, and as a result, you're seeing some really cool stuff coming out.
So when you created Action Arcade Wrestling 1, you obviously didn't get everything you wanted to put in the game. So then you made Action Arcade Wrestling 2. Was that kind of like an unlicensed, like kind of everything that you wanted in an unlicensed like wrestling video game out of the second one?
Well, not really. I mean, it was more than the first for sure, because the first one I kind of had a goal that I wanted to do it myself, and for 99% of it I did. And then the second one, I just had these ideas where I knew if I really wanted to take it up a notch, I wanted to include other people. So I found an incredible animator, an unbelievable programmer to help me do this kind of stuff. Plus, by that time I had my twins were born, so I didn't have nearly as much time to work on it as I did with the first one. So, but I wanted to really ramp it up. And we did as much as we possibly could. I mean, it's like trying to fit a basketball inside a golf hole. I mean, it's really tough in terms of memory on that particular platform, the indie games platform. You had, probably, I don't know, 250 megs of memory that you're trying to deal with. So we accomplished an incredible amount of stuff with Action Arcade Wrestling too, but we did spend an enormous amount of time actually trying to literally fit hundreds and hundreds of animations and paint tools and everything else inside that platform. So it was a little bit tricky to try to manage all of that stuff, as opposed to working on things we really wanted to work on, like gameplay and game mechanics and features and everything else like that. So I was really proud of that, but it was still pretty restrictive in terms of the engine and the platform.
But you were able to create that awesome. You could kind of mod characters and upload them onto the Xbox as well. I think that was like, I haven't heard of any other game doing that besides that game. I think you found like a loophole or something.
Yeah, we did. The amount of stuff we had to do to try to get that working, because that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to put textures on the wrestlers, and that the Xbox indie platform was never meant to handle anything like that, and we actually did successfully do it. So that we were pretty proud of that. Just really pushing the envelope of that whole thing.
So then after Action Arcade Wrestling 2, you said you went on to make the mobile game, the Tappy Golf. Were you always looking to make another Action Arcade Wrestling game, or were you trying to branch out and do more like maybe mobile or maybe whatever it may be, but just something different than wrestling? Or did you ultimately always want to make another one?
I always wanted to make another one. It was just kind of, I had been doing it for a long time, and I kind of just needed a little bit of a break. In fact, I started Action Arcade Wrestling 3 prior to taking a little break, because I was at that time Unreal Engine 4 came out, and indies could actually use it for free, which was almost unheard of at the time. And it was just like, wow, we were actually thinking of taking the Action Arcade Wrestling 2 platform as it was, tweaking it a little bit, and then releasing it as a Turbo or Championship Edition or something along those lines. For either PC, or we hadn't really decided on it yet. And at that time, that's when Unreal Engine 4 decided to get in the mix, that you could download and actually use it. And we said, you know what, if we're going to do this, let's just rebuild the whole thing in a real engine this time, a real, AAA engine that'll give us maximum amount of everything that we could possibly hope for development. And let's just rebuild it, and then go from there. So we actually started to do that, and then we're working on the game part time in our spare time. My programmer has to take gigs and can't work on the game, and same with myself. So that's when I kind of felt a little burned out on the creating a wrestling game for the past God knows how many years. So I just kind of wanted to take a step back and maybe learn a new engine, just learn a new platform, get a little more experience with that, make a fun little golf game. It only took me, I don't know, a couple months to make that. But it really helped out, because when I came back and looked at the Action Arcade Wrestling 3, I had totally fresh eyes. I was able to really see with a lot more clarity some of the things I wanted to do. And ironically, that's when CHIKARA contacted me, and that's also when we kind of decided, let's go for more of a cell shading effect, and let's really get this start looking like almost like a retro comic book type feel, and it all started to really come together at that point.
Yeah, this is definitely seeing like the screenshots and the gameplay. There's definitely comic book look, and I think CHIKARA fits in great with that comic book feel. I think that's like the ultimate partnership with you guys. And Something I want to ask you about, because I'm watching this GIF over and over as I'm talking to you, and I just see like fireballs and crazy moves going off. Was that like I know that you want to go super arcadey with this game. Was that just something fun you wanted to put in, or was that kind of like Chikara saying, "Hey, let's try and do something crazy too"?
No, that was even before Chikara. That was me just getting my hands on Unreal and seeing all the cool effects I could do for the most part. I mean, I do this for fun. It's not really my my full-time job. So when I started to play around with Unreal, I found these unbelievably cool effects. I'm like, you know what, this would be great for, let's say somebody wants to make the Emperor from Star Wars and shoot lightning, or make, Superman and shoot lasers from his eyes, like that kind of thing. Let's just put these in there. And, it's not, I get asked a lot, well, that's really cool, but I kind of want to go more the WrestleFest route as opposed to like, WrestleMania Arcade, where Undertaker's like literally shooting out ghosts from his gloves. Some people like that, some people don't. I totally get that. Those are actually just grapple moves. I mean, it's not like you press down forward punch to do a fireball or something like that in my game. Not in the slightest. Those are literally grapple moves. So a fireball is exactly the same as a suplex in terms of how the game's structured. So really, just like in any of the 2K games, if you don't want any of those moves to be assigned to any wrestlers, just don't assign them to any wrestlers, and then you'll have more of a realistic thing. But if you happen to be making, some superheroes or some characters that you'd like to have special moves, they're available if you want to add it to a move set here and there.
Right, yeah. Because I think that's like the most fun about this game is that it's not the same simulation style. Like you said, 2K is doing a great job with what they're doing, but you can't create like this. If you go and try and make another WWE 2K type game, you're never going to succeed because they're already the best at what they do. So you just kind of have to go the opposite and make it, the arcadey fun, which is kind of like how I've always wanted another WWE All-Stars, and this is kind of giving us that feel of that kind of game.
I agree. I mean, I love WWE All-Stars. I mean, it was just really fun. And I really love the 2K series. I know it's really, cool for people to say, oh, they're not giving us anything. I think they're doing a great job. I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority, but I think it's great. It's just that, sometimes if you want to play Madden, right? You want to play a simulation game of Madden. And sometimes you want to play NFL Blitz, right? We really want to be kind of that go-to complement for the simulation games that are out there. If you're really in the mood to fire up, Fire Pro Wrestling and have or No Mercy or 2K and have a really awesome simulation, that's awesome. So do I. But sometimes, you might want to just have a little more crazy fun with a match here and there, and that's what we kind of want to provide that.
Well, let's get into the Indiegogo campaign. Let's talk about that a little bit. First off, I'll just ask you, because I'm sure this is on everybody's minds, what platforms are you looking to release this game for?
Well, we're not ready to say specifically, but it is going to be. But originally, we were just going to say PC, but we can reveal that we are going to be on PC console. But we're just not ready to say exactly specifically what consoles it will be. It's not going to be the Dreamcast, I'll give you that. But yeah, we're actually going to be on consoles. So look for a little more information on that. But we're pretty excited to be branching out like that anyway. So we are actually already greenlit on Steam. So that's absolutely a 100% platform that we're going to be on. So we're really excited about that. I think we were greenlit in like 10 days or something like that. So we were really excited.
So then I also understand, like, it all depends on how the Indiegogo campaign goes and all the funding. But initially, like, what would you say, like, a time frame would be, like, the ultimate goal that you would want to have this done? Like, just like ballpark, maybe.
Well, I mean, definitely within the next year or two. I would like to. The worst case scenario, I don't know, 2018, best case scenario next year. I mean, it's somewhere in between there. If we get zero money, which we already have, I think up to around 6,500 or something like that. Depending on the amount of money, we'll be able to put more resources into the game full time. So programmers don't, they can not take a gig here or there and actually work on this game full time. And that's kind of our strategy, is that the more money we get, the sooner the release date it will be, and the more features we can put in. Just kind of a time is money type thing. And that's kind of why we went with Indiegogo as opposed to Kickstarter, because anything that we have pledged or donated, we get to keep. I think if we meet our goal, they take probably a little less in commission or something like that. So it'd be cool to meet the goal. But anything at this point really helps us to develop the game and increase the chance of an earlier release date.
So do you want to talk about some of the game modes and match types and things like that you want to include in the game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're going to be having a lot of different match types initially, and then we're planning on adding more down the line. I mean, you have the normal stuff that you would think of. You have the tag team one-on-one, three-way, four-way, four-way elimination, and we also have some specific Chikara-based ones. For instance, like the trios match, which is a six-man tag team with some interesting things in there, different things, initiating a tag and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have something called the Infinite Gauntlet, which is really, really similar to like a WrestleFest Royal Rumble, where you can actually be eliminated by pinning, as well as being thrown over the top rope. So we have a lot of very cool things. But we have a whole match type listed on our Indiegogo, but by all means, we want to add more than that as well. So that's just sort of our base, if you will.
So let's talk a little bit, I guess, we can talk about this, because you did that creation suite, and you said you wanted the modded and the textures and stuff like that. Is that something that you're going to bring back? Since if you're looking for like the main release being PC, I'm assuming it would be a little easier to add that creation tool into the game.
Well, what I think we're looking into right now, and so far we haven't really found any reason why we won't be able to do this, but what we're looking into is that the entire creation suite, this is a little different than other games that have come before us. The entire creation suite, whether it's creating a wrestler, creating a ring, or anything else that we would end up putting in, creating a title or anything like that, all of that is actually going to be done as a free download on the PC. So you're going to have access to we're calling it the Wrestle Factory, which is actually the name of Chikara's pretty famous training center, the Wrestle Factory. The Wrestle Factory in our game is actually going to be the creation suite, and you're going to be able to download it and use that to create all of your wrestlers. So you're going to have the whole gambit of things that you would want on a PC, almost like a free mod tool, so to speak. So you'll be able to put in your texture, pick your the size and shape of your wrestler, and get it really perfect. And then what you'll be able to do is actually transfer that to your PC game or even to the console. And I kind of got the idea for this for a couple different games did this. One of them was, I think it was NCAA football, that you could actually go online. EA let you go online, and they had a specific application on the PC or Mac that would let you create, I don't know, your high school football team, and you could actually upload your logo and make your whole team on the PC, and then you could go on your Xbox or PS3 or whatever it was and download that and download others and share them, and it worked really, really well. And I just think there's a lot of benefit to being able to do that on a PC as opposed to using in-game menus and using the control pad when it's a lot easier to use a mouse and things like that. So we're looking into actually making that a PC application.
Oh, cool. Like it's going to be similar to, well, I'm assuming it's going to be similar to the one that you did, but it kind of like a dev tool almost when you're looking at like a creation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So you can import graphics, you can import anything you want, and then you'll have that wrestler as a file that you can transfer it to console or upload it to one of our servers, or however the transfer process works. But you'll be able to do that on the PC, or let's say I can just email you a wrestler or share it or something. Those are the types of things that we're looking at that I think will separate us a little bit. So there's really, if you're talking about using Photoshop or Paint or something like that, it's going to be a lot more powerful than just using any kind of or sizing and rotating and stuff in a creation tool on a console, let's say.
So I guess I never really got into this. We kind of jumped straight into some of the features, but are you looking at having most of the roster of Chikara involved in this game?
Well, that's pretty much going to be up to Chikara. They've given me a couple wrestlers that they know they want in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to be kind of doing a sort of a roster reveal as this thing goes along. Maybe add a few more wrestlers to the roster in Chikara, but on the Indiegogo as updates. Would kind of like to do that, but they're going to let me know exactly what roster is going to be. But I know it's going to be definitely well represented if you are a Chikara fan.
Gotcha. Yeah, because they have a deep roster, so there's like, I'm assuming you'll have all the main people in there, that the main guys, and I've seen like some of the gameplay with some of the Chikara people, so it's pretty much up to them then.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. It's up to them.
Okay. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the campaign rewards and things like that you're going to be having with the Indiegogo.
Yeah. I think we have some pretty decent ones. The Chikara has their own streaming service called Chikaratopia, so you can actually watch all of their events through. I think they even have a Apple TV that you can app that you can watch all of their events. So that's a lot of the perks right there. So let's say I think it's $25, and you end up getting the game, copy of the game for credit, and then you can also get your name in the credits of. So that's our featured one. So if you are actually considering, you might want to purchase this, it would be really helpful, kind of almost like a pre-purchase, is if you pledged now and helped us out to you a little bit quicker. But the other perks you can Chikaratopia, they have limited edition masks and T-shirts, and you can I think for $50. The first 25 backers get access to a beta test that we're going to be performing. So I think we have a lot of decent perks. We're going to be adding some more as well later on down the line. But please check it out. I think you'll find probably something that you'd like to have in a pledge.
Well, cool. Is there anything that we missed that you kind of want to talk about? I don't want to leave it at this. If there's anything that maybe you want to hit the nail on the head with before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. I think that we're really going to be. This is going to be a first-class game. I think we, other folks have done a great job of creating wrestling games, and I know some people have wrestling games before, and we have everything we need. We realize it doesn't take. I think our goal is $25,000. It doesn't take $25,000 to make a wrestling game. It takes a lot more than that. But I think some should realize is that this is the third time we've done this. We've created and shipped 2 games. We've experienced all the pitfalls of making a wrestling game, and what happens with some things. If I just want to sit down and make a wrestling game, I'm not going to be aware of. For instance, memory management. How do you buffer in the animations and all this kind of lousy stuff that stops you from making a great wrestling game in a couple months. We've been through all of that. So really the only thing that's standing against us is just time to make the game. We're going to be having a very simple control scheme. It's going to be really, really fun to play, and I hope that you would, potentially consider pledging to our Indiegogo. We think we're going to really do a good job. It's an Unreal Engine 4. It's going to be a great game, and I'd really appreciate a pledge.
Sure. And did you want to talk about your social media, where you can find you on the internet?
Sure, absolutely. Well, we're if you go to Action Arcade Wrestling, you can pretty much get anywhere. My Twitter screen name is Action937. We're also at Facebook.com/Action Arcade Wrestling. So anywhere there, you'll be able to get a lot of updates specifically on the game.
All right. Thank you for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, Tony. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.